individual with these qualities: manual dexterity, dramatic judgment, storytelling sense, a feel for pacing and tempo, endless patience, and most of all, an ability to take genuine pleasure in ruthlessly discarding most of what so many have worked so long and so hard to produce.
But like any eye, it must be pointed in the right direction. Its wise use demands selectivity. Behind the eye, there must be a brain, your brain.
We are in our second week of creating video stories. Hard work. The editing can be very demanding on you and your computer. But what can happen to you may be opening great opportunities.
Is your dream getting into the film industry? Now you can.
The highest standard is maintained by the same craftsmen who work on the entertainment films. This is the imposing skyline you saw through the office windows in the opening scene.
Celluloid, unfortunately, is not the world's strongest material. Therefore, motion picture film must be handled with care to protect it from damage. You see what I mean?
There's so much to consider in your craft, technical and conceptual.
Kids are impressionable. That's why here at this station, we watch the programs and commercials your child watches carefully.
I'm looking for ways your stories will surprise us. Cue the music. Welcome, folks. It's time again. All right, I'll quiet the band. Welcome, one and all, costumed and not, to the ds106 show. This is week 12. We've been doing this for 12 weeks. And so I'm your host, Alan Levine, and the whole shtick here is I'm coming to you actually channeling through time from 1964. Little did you know that the internet was invented like yesterday, and we were able to fast forward things, but I'm able to project that and connect with you so you can tell me about what's going on in 2013. But this is our informal talk show format, and the idea is just to gather once a week and to talk about what's going on in ds106. And I have my students, like Cole, they each volunteered 1 week to come on and participate in this and wonder why are there like people showing up in wigs and mustaches. So let me just ask, I'm going to skip you, Mr. Whoever you are. And ask Cole.
That's Dr. Whoever I am.
Dr. Whoever you are. We'll come back to you, Doctor. But Cole, because he's the important guest, he's our co-host. Say a little bit about maybe yourself and what you found so far in ds106.
What I've found so far in ds106.
Yourself.
Did you know what you were getting into when you signed up for this class?
Oh, not really. Not at all.
So it's like I got to get this quick elective in before I graduate, right?
something like that. Just credits.
Yeah.
I needed some credits, so
yeah. So how's the experience been so far for you?
It's been fun. It's been interesting.
There's a
Lots
hand.
of different things. Oh yeah, that was my roommate being a pain. I've definitely learned a lot of different things about doing stuff on computers and different formats of, be it photos and video and just the internet in general. So it's been exciting.
Were you one of the people who said from the beginning that they hated audio, or did you?
No, I actually really liked audio as soon as I started doing it, which was cool.
Had you done it before?
I had used Audacity in another class, but I never really got in depth with it at all. I just kind of recorded someone so I could talk to them.
Right.
We had to do.
Go ahead.
No, we had to do some transcription thing where we recorded a conversation to learn about other people's language learning and some process. I didn't know.
Right. So, had you done any blogging before? What's it been like to have your own blog?
I have not done any blogging before. It's kind of tedious, honestly, for me.
You can be honest here. This does not affect your grade if you're honest. So I'm actually gonna pull up your blog because I like your blog. I don't know where to go. I thought I had it here.
Oh, I should be like that.
Yeah, it's it's fun, but having to link everything back and forth to all the different things I'm looking at and drawing from is just kind of annoying.
Right. So tell me about your theme here. I'm trying to. It has a certain sort of characteristic.
It's a Mario theme, or found one on the internet somewhere. Just I don't even remember why I picked it, but I had one basic one that was just kind of boring, so I wanted to change it. And we were playing a lot of Mario Kart at the time, I think, so I just Googled Mario themes in WordPress, and there it was.
Is that a premium theme?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. You didn't pay for it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's I've noticed it's changed subtly as you've gone along, so you have figured out some of the things, how to modify it. And a piece of it is just having that space to make it your own. You may not really care, but that whole domain and internet thing is yours. It belongs to you, and the plan is that you can use it at least for a year after your graduation. So you may want to get out of the maelstrom that is ds106, and you may a couple months down the road and say, wow, I might have a need for a website for this, or I might want to put a portfolio site up as I'm going out in the job market. So that's out there for you. And we'll come back to talk to you about some of your video projects, because that's what I'm going to focus on. But let's go to the guy on the end there.
My name's Todd. I live in Arizona.
Where's your beard? Where's your beard, man? You're letting me down. Cole's got a beard.
Next winter it'll be the beard thing.
Andy has a mustache.
And then it'll be the,
Thank you for that.
Yeah, the rest of the season.
Brian Jackson and I were talking, and we're not letting our guard down.
I was just like,
we're not cutting the hair or shaving the beard. So we're here when you come back, man.
It's all good. It's in my heart.
All right.
I'm gonna go do this.
And Todd is actually my nearest neighbor. He lives 65 miles away.
So we're way there.
All right, now it's time for Dr. Video.
Dr. Oblivion.
Dr. Oblivion, you live.
No, I don't think so.
So does Cole know the story? I mean, any part of the Dr. Oblivion story?
Probably not. He's totally oblivious to the Oblivion.
Well,
no idea.
Apropos. Go back to, I don't know if are the previous DS106 courses kind of listed, so you could go back and see the Summer Oblivion? Those are links somewhere, right?
There's, under the About menu, there's a history that has kind of semester by semester. So
all right. Well, this stuff is getting itchy, so I'm gonna start taking it off. I'll be right back.
So Basically, when the class
better.
runs in the summertime, we've taken some liberty with some of the formats of it, so it becomes a little bit wackier and almost like a performance. So, in the summer of 2011, when Jim Groom taught it, he assumed this kind of character, and Andy was part of it. I was kind of out of it because I think I was traveling, and but it kind of became unglued. But it had a lot of video in it, right?
Absolutely. We did a daily show, or I say we. Jim did a daily thing, and we were doing. I'm trying to think if we were doing DTLT today.
Yeah, I think that was your first round for that.
Hey, Andy, sorry, I just put the link in the chat. If you click on the chat thing, there's a link to at least 8 of the videos you guys did. They're in a playlist on YouTube.
Excellent.
So cool. If you want to go back and watch them, or Andy, if you want to take a trip down memory lane.
I often do.
Yeah. You got stuck there as a fact.
Yeah, exactly. I can't get out.
So since you're now Andy,
yes.
What's your shtick? What do you do, man?
I am what's known as a new media specialist, and essentially all of us in DTLT are instructional technologists, except for Jim. He's the director, and he never was an instructional technologist anyway. So I'm sure hope he reviews this tape. But I kind of got the moniker of new media specialist just because I wanted to concentrate in video and audio and more of the digital media. And so I think at the time new media was a hot term, so that's kind of what we went with. I don't know if I would be a new media specialist if I could change things today, but a lot of what I did was just kind of figure out this stuff, figure out how to use video in different ways. We had probably back in 2006 or so had this idea of like this mobile video thing that we could bring into different places, and that's kind of what I've worked on for the last several years. And we finally kind of got to use it with the Dr. Oblivion stuff and the ds106 things, and then when Tim Owens came on, we really went into doing and producing TV shows, doing it live, and then archiving it. And I think we created a little laptop kit with a digital video camera and used FireWire to bring that into the computer and then record that stuff. And eventually we brought in other cameras, and we've got a green screen in our room or in our offices, so we could use that too. And yeah, at times we did some crazy stuff. I've worn other wigs besides comb over caps and that kind of thing. So and you can check those out.
Wearing wigs is part of your job description, apparently. It's
under those things, duties as assigned kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
but
I
video,
take advantage of that.
Video, I think video is really, one of your cornerstones of expertise. So I'm really happy you could come on here. There's no one's really approached me with any too serious video questions. I can handle most of the iMovie stuff, but the Windows side I'm totally flummoxed by, and so maybe we'll come back to some technical stuff in a second. But maybe come back to Cole, and maybe you've done some of the video assignments already. You want to tell us which ones you've done and how they've gone, how they've worked out for you?
I did. The first one I did was the 5 archetype one, and I look at the wise old man. Just general theme, and I just kind of explored videos and thought about stuff and pulled different characters out and then put it all together in iMovie, which really isn't that complicated. But
so who are your 5 guys?
What did I do? I did Gandalf, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Dumbledore, Alfred from Batman Begins, and what was the last one?
It was kind of an obscure one, right?
Yeah, that guy from Ghost Rider in the Graveyard. I don't remember what his name was.
Yeah. So that assignment is one where you're supposed to identify these 5 archetypes and put them in a montage of 1 second each. It's one of Michael Branson Smith's video assignments. I think I did like badass cops. So I had like Shaft and Dirty Harry. And it's hard. Oh, you probably found this. I mean, you did stretch it, and I was like, that's fine if you want to do it. I mean, it's almost impossible to get it down to 1 second each. I mean, what can you fit in 1 second? It's almost a flash, and you can't really get any dialogue in that.
I stretched it a lot, actually. I think I don't even remember what I had. Like, I think it's 1.5 minutes or something like that.
Long. So you're throwing down a challenge for me. I want to do this now.
I just put in the clips of like them actually speaking or saying something wise. 'Cause it made more sense to include that in the video than just a flash of the face or anything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you almost can't get any audio dialogue. There have been some people who've done ones like like a laugh or something like that, which is a little bit easier to do. But it's hard, and I was more interested to see the choice of your archetype and the characters you choose. I mean, that's the real assignment part is figuring out. How did you come up with Wise Old Men?
My senior seminars on Tolkien, so I just kind of had Gandalf on the brain.
Yeah.
So I just went with that and then continued it.
I was trying to think. I didn't really put too much thought of it. Andy, since you watch the movies, can you think of some others that might get thrown into the mix there? I don't know if Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid really counts as old enough.
So relates to his.
Yeah. If you were gonna choose some wise old men from some other movies,
it was actually another one that I thought of when I was going through it.
Maud. She's not a man, but wise old Maud from Harold and Maude.
Oh, okay.
You have to do wise old women then.
Wise old men.
It's the to me it's in the But I always think of when I talk about movies, a lot of times I talk about the model of the hero's journey. So that's the the mentor, typical of Obi-Wan Kenobi, who comes in and kind of helps Luke start his journey and teaches him things. And it's kind of a big important guiding force, not a directing force, but definitely the mentorship role.
Yeah.
Hey, it's that question that you ask and you go completely blank.
Yeah.
Because you've got 1 million of them in your head, and I'll think of 1 million of them probably when I'm done, or I'll blurt it out in like 10 minutes.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Didn't mean to put you on the spot. So
no, it's okay.
So that was the first one. iMovie didn't really present any challenges for you. You got your credits and stuff in there, and so that wasn't too hard. That's pretty much almost like a montage sequence. But your second one, you did some filming, right?
Yeah, my second one, I did the Hitchcock Assignment, where you had to take a frame or a clip of someone making a normal face, and then take some clip of making a emotion, a face, so it's like natural reaction, and then you had to insert different clips of things in between the two to make two different sequences and change the opinion of the character. So for that one, I just chose Discuss because I didn't really have any thought about it, but and then really you can just put random things in between. There's a lot of stuff that you could do to change the opinion of every character in between the clips. So I ended up choosing peas as one, and just throwing a bag of peas down.
Why peas? Where'd that come from? Is it just random?
I mean, people don't like vegetables.
Beets. I would have done beets. I think I said that in my comments, but peas work.
Yeah, I mean, I just had peas in my fridge, so yeah, and then what was the other one? I did another one that was...
You had chewing tobacco, I think.
Chewing tobacco, yeah, because it's different too.
Okay, I did see that.
So it's actually kind of a gross thing, and then peas are just a vegetable, so it's not different.
Yeah. The original clip is really, I think it's kind of interesting, and I never really came up with the right idea, but basically it shows Hitchcock himself, and he's got the same expression both times, but the first time in the cut, he's smiling and looking like a little kid playing on a playground, and it's like, oh, he's kind of a sweet old gentleman. And then the next one, he's got the same expression, but the scene in between is like a woman in a bikini, and it's like, oh, he's like some old lech. So it's just how that cut can change the whole persona of the person just by differing what's in between the cut.
Hitch loves bikinis.
Yeah.
Hitchcock loves bikinis.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I'm sure, Andy, you're a Hitchcock fan. Well, I am assuming, but
just don't ask me any trivia because I'll go blank.
No, it's okay. I'm done with the trivia, but there's just so much good material where he talks a lot about his technique and his method. I got to see the movie on my last plane flight, Hitchcock, and it was all about the making of Psycho.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the Hitchcock movie.
It was good. I enjoyed it, and what's his name from? I'm trying to remember. Silence of the Lambs.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins. Of course, always does a great performance, but some of us tortured, and some of the things he had to deal with to pull it off. It's almost, in some ways, I mean, there's a piece of it is the story of making the movie,
right,
and what he had to do to get the studios to buy onto it, get the censors to pass it. But the other piece of it is almost like behind the scenes of the production, especially where they did the shower scene. And he kind of goes a little demento when he's directing Janet Leigh. I mean, he actually freaks her out.
Now, do they get, because the bit about that is usually he tried to do that just to get the right reaction out of the actors. I don't know if they get into that or not, or they infer that.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is like for them to kind of be on the edge and not really know what's going to happen next, and that gives them that edge in the performance. So I don't know if they talk about that in that movie.
Yeah, they got to it. I mean, some of it is just because there's some questions about he's suffering from actually some delusions where he's actually having these conversations and visits from the actual killer that the movie is based upon. So that person actually enters onto the scene sometimes and kind of pushes Hitch's buttons. But there we go on a long tangent.
Well,
so,
I mean, Hitchcock is, if you could do a lot worse than to base your visions and that kind of thing in terms of what you produce. I've got they've got an old silent film of or DVDs of his silent film. There's like 20 movies of his on a couple of DVDs, and I can't wait to kind of go back and just see how he started. Looking at what he saw and the kinds of things that he would frame up. I'm curious to kind of see. And there's 39 Steps, I think, was his first commercial film, but he did a bunch of silent films, and I can't wait to kind of go back and revisit some of those.
Right. So I like that that one for you, Cole, because you actually had to do some shooting. I assume that was on an iPhone from the angle of the shots, and then do some editing. Did you have it kind of planned out ahead of time, or were you kind of improvising as you went?
Yeah, that was one of the ones that I had planned out ahead of time.
Cool.
For the most part, but I actually added another scene in that I hadn't planned on. But
yeah, talk about that one, because I thought that was really interesting.
That one, I had my Mexican roommate just walk by and walk into the house, and then I had the face of disgust afterwards. It was kind of just like an ambiguous thing. Like, you don't really know what's going on, whether he just farted walking by or something, or whether she's racist or something like that. It's yeah.
I really like that you added that part. Was your roommate okay with doing that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was he the guy who was goofing around on the side there?
No, that wasn't him. That was a different one, but.
So I'm glad you've done a couple of video assignments. I know Amber's done a lot, and Kelsey. I'm assuming the other students are going to do the mad rush of doing these in the next 4 days. So how's the video work been for you?
It's not that tough. I've actually been working on one. I was working on Monday, and it was the Costanza one where you record your day and then show little clips of it and fast forward everything else.
Yeah.
And I got up to going to lunch and then ran out of room on my camera and phone, so I had to stop, and I guess I have to do it the rest of it tomorrow, but yeah.
Hey, you can put 2 days together. That works.
Yeah.
That's cool. So any like technical questions you have or things that you've run into problem-wise?
Not particularly. I think the hardest part about it was figuring out how to get the videos off of my phone onto the computer, because I couldn't do it through iTunes, and I had to use some other program, but I figured it out eventually.
The one that I use a lot is on the Mac is called Image Capture.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And that's really handy for getting the videos directly off.
In a pinch, I've used like Dropbox, and then putting them there and then bringing them. You can just drag it into Dropbox and then receive it on your computer's Dropbox. Depending on the file size too, that can be an issue.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it. Someone sent me from Photo Jojo. It looks like a little add-on for the iPhone where it plugs in and it's a USB drive, which has been a big stumbling block.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works yet. I haven't looked at it to see like whether you can actually move files from the phone onto that easily.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I haven't even read really a write-up on it. So.
Yeah. I know. I wanted to ask you, Andy, especially for students who may or may not watch this later. The biggest trouble I have is like helping students with Movie Maker, because I don't have a PC, and even when I did have a PC, I didn't understand a lot of things.
Yeah.
And the biggest hurdle, and I haven't had too many reports of it yet, is that Windows natively doesn't understand how to deal with MP4 video, which is what people are downloading their clips in.
Right.
And in the past, I've tried some of, I think some of the resources, I'm not saying this is a problem, but one of the ones to install the codecs, I've heard students report of problems where they get viruses off of those.
Yeah.
So installing the codecs is hard, and the other approach I take is to use some of the online converters to move them over to WMV or AVI.
Right.
Are there any better approaches now?
Well, aside from discouraging people to use Movie Maker in the first place, which I do, but the other thing is just to make sure that there's Movie Maker that comes on some of the older PCs, and still people are using Windows XP to some extent. But if you've got Windows Vista or 7, haven't really delved into 8 too much, but you want to make sure that you get the Windows Live Movie Maker. It's available on Microsoft's website, and it's the newest version of Movie Maker. It's more iMovie-like, but it also supports like MPEG-4 video.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some gyrations sometimes that you need to go through to install it, but you just go to, if you go to, I think it's just Windows Live Movie Maker. If you do a search for that, you should be able to get to the Windows Live page. And there's a bunch of programs. There's like a photo gallery program, and there's a messenger program. And it's just, when you go through the installation, you can just choose Windows Live Movie Maker. And then you've got some more opportunities to kind of bring in more modern video than some of the older stuff.
Okay, that's good, because I remember my students last spring, they preferred the older one because there were more features in it. But
absolutely, yeah. It's much more kind of timeline based, and it's more like the traditional editors used to be, but it just doesn't support that stuff. Now there's a program called WinFF. That I haven't used in a while because I'm not really doing too much with Windows Movie Maker. But it used to be a good program. It was based on this FFmpeg, and it allows you to convert any video into a Windows video format so that you can do that. And it's pretty quick. So it's worked in the past to try to get those different formats into something that the old Windows Movie Maker could work with.
Right, and a number of my students really like using Videopad, which is for Windows and Mac. Apparently has a couple. I think when they do the silent movie assignment, apparently it's got some good effects for that. And I think it's free if it's non-commercial.
Okay.
So it's not one of these ones that like slaps a watermark on everything.
Gotcha. There is a new program or new editor that's going to eventually be completely cross-platform, and by that I include Linux as well, called Lightworks. I haven't really played with it very much, but right now it's Windows centric. But it's coming on the Mac in beta, and it's coming on Linux, I think, in beta too. But I think if you just do a search for Lightworks editor, it's supposed to. There's a free version, and then there's the professional version, I guess. But it's supposed to be kind of a fresh start, and it'll be something that may be good for people to use in a kind of a free basis. It used to. You're probably familiar with VLC, the video player that you can get on your Mac or your PC.
Yeah.
The same group, the Video LAN people, had a video editor that they were working on. But every time I go back to that page, it basically says, we're kind of still in beta, and if you search around, you probably can get the download. But that looked like a promising thing, just because again it was going to be free and kind of cross-platform. And I've got to go take a look at it and just see if there's any more information about that. But I think it was Video LAN editor or something along that line. So I can search for it and put a link to that as well.
That's cool. Like in general, when you're advising students who are doing their video, I mean, what are like some of the top things that people should do or pay attention to when they're starting some of their first video projects, to make sure they don't pull their hair out? Well,
I can put in a plug, if you call us a plug, for the video site that you've linked to before. It's the video.umwblogs.org, just to kind of get them in thinking about all the different aspects of what goes into video. So I start kind of by talking about shooting video and the things you want to keep in mind as you do that. Framing your shots, it's good to be thinking in a photography mode when you're shooting videos, to kind of get the framing set up. But I also talk quite a bit about audio and how audio is equally, if not more important than the video part is. You want to make sure that you have decent audio, and sometimes you can go a long way with just audio if you have terrible video, but you won't go anywhere if you have video and not good audio. So. And wearing headphones when you're out kind of shooting and getting, acquiring that stuff, you want to make sure that what you're hearing sounds decent. So a good pair of headphones when you're shooting out in the field too. But sometimes that stuff's hard if you're using a little Kodak flip cam or an iPhone. There's no real monitoring that can go on with that kind of stuff. And then just thinking about where you're going to be going with the video eventually. YouTube is great and everywhere, but I also recommend more often something like Vimeo, just because you get less of a kind of a commercial feel to that. You won't have the videos on the side kind of related or unrelated, as it were. The buxom women will be, interlopers in your playlist or whatever. So Vimeo is a great place to kind of think about putting these things, and it's a great place to go look at videos. The people who put some of those things together and have their channels out there. Just some stunning stuff.
It's like a bit more, might I say, just artistic than the
Sure.
collection of weird stuff that.
Right.
That it's fun about YouTube.
Absolutely.
And less of the comment trolls. Are you waving, Todd?
Yeah, I got to go in just a minute, but I have one comment after Andy's done here.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So the trick, one of the tricks I presented with is these teachers, because I work with teachers. What's the student's name right here to my left? I'm
Cole.
sorry. Cole, I'm sorry. I could have just hovered over you. I'm sorry.
I just remember Cole Camplease. That's how I remember his name. So.
He's nothing like him. He's a lot prettier.
Yeah, there you go.
So the trick is there's
Poor Cole.
all these amazing videos, but only parts of them are what teachers want to use. They don't want the students to have to watch this drawn-out long introduction up to the really important part, and then after that's kind of tails off. So how do we get teachers to find them, curate them so that they know where they are, and be able to share just the piece of the video that they want? So thankfully, when you just share a video out of YouTube, you can start it at a certain place, and you probably know that. But one thing that we've discovered here recently is, so if you create a playlist in YouTube, you can edit the playlist. And when you edit the playlist, you can add an introduction to a clip. And when you add the introduction, it seamlessly rolls into the video that you are introducing. And you can choose to trim the video that you introduced. So you can imagine, say, I want to show you like 5 great speeches. So you get I Have a Dream, you have some JFK speeches, you have some Reagan speeches, you have some, who else speeches. You have those in your playlist. As a teacher, you can like introduce each one of those to your students and then trim down the 22-minute long video down to a 6-minute section or whatever the time is.
That's cool. So
when you click play, it's like one video, It's really slick. And for teachers who, you got Camtasia, which has 403 buttons. You have some other software that has 29 buttons, and they don't know where the thing goes. This is all web-based, and it's just fascinating, I think, the amount of flexibility that...
Now, when you edit those videos down, does it get rid of the ads that are associated with those videos, if there are any, or does it do away with that stuff? Do you have to wade through those, or
I don't know that for sure. I don't know. I don't know that. But it's just as a way to go ahead.
No, it's interesting. I didn't know that you could you can set the in and out points when it's in a playlist, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I just think it's for our teachers anyway. And if I think of a student being asked to give a presentation about alligators in Kentucky, they go find 6 videos of alligators in Kentucky. They make their own video, and they can just use the YouTube quick capture to do the introductions to those videos, or kind of transition between the videos. But it's like the popcorn maker thing. Some of the web-based stuff is just so tricky.
Or for the students like Cole, I'm probably not going to do this, but if I wanted them to sort of do like a highlight reel of their ds106 work that's in YouTube, they could do it that way.
Yeah,
I've used something called Tube Chop before, and that will just basically allow you to take a video and pick an in and out point, and then they give you even the embed code to put on a page. But I hadn't really gone into the playlist and editing the playlist to cue that kind of stuff up. That sounds like a great approach, especially, as you say, for teachers that want to kind of cut out the chaff.
Yeah.
So,
you guys, I got to go, man. It's been a pleasure. Cole, good work. Congratulations on being a senior. Andy, pleasure.
It's great seeing you. Great seeing you again, Todd.
Neighbor, be good.
See you, neighbor.
Yeah, I feel like a neighbor today of Arizona because it was about 90 degrees here in Fredericksburg.
Actually, it snowed here this morning.
Did it really? Yeah, see? We're even better. We went from absolute winter almost to summer in about 2 days. It's been crazy here. So.
Yeah. So I want to. Cole's been patiently listening to all this and like how long it's going to go on, but I think from what I've read so far, I kind of been commenting on my students' work when they proposed. Last week they had to kind of pick 2 video assignments they were going to do this week, and sort of I called it pre-production, so to figure out what media they would need and figure out how they would go about doing the assignment. And I try to encourage them in a lot of their comments to really think about how much they can really bring on the story part of it and change things up and do the unexpected. Some of these assignments are really easy to do. You can slap 5 things together and then you're done. And I'm trying to get them to think more about, how to either subvert it or put their own twist on it, or to bring some element of creativity to what they're doing with the videos, and not get so caught up into, I got to do 5 video assignments for my points this week. So.
Right.
So has that sort of made sense, Cole? I've read in your blog post that you've been thinking about it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a couple more planned out, but then a couple of them I want to do, but I'm not really sure about what to do.
Right. And you'll still get a chance to be doing some the last 2 weeks when we do remix. A lot of those assignments are. Sometimes the difference between a remix and a video assignment. A lot of them are in video format, so you probably will get a chance to do some more video. I think, and Todd mentioned Popcorn, the Mozilla platform, and I think I want to use that. I've been really intrigued by it. It's kind of a web-based editor, really designed for kind of doing some easy mashups with video content.
Right. Yeah, I saw I was looking through some of the video assignments, and I came across, is it Stephanie Jeske?
Yeah.
Or Jessica? She did this one called Harmonium Love.
Huh.
I was really kind of blown away by that.
She's interesting. She's an open student in Germany, and she's been doing all the work that my students have been doing. Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing about that. That I mean, not only the work that she does, but it's like, there's this student in Germany who is participating in ds106 and creating this awesome stuff. So, you know, Alan, the work that you've been doing with this stuff is just phenomenal. I wish I had more time to go through and look at the assignments, and you know, you always, almost weekly, you come up with a good one that intrigues me. So I have to just bite the bullet and say, I'm going to start doing some of these. Quit my day job and start doing some of these.
There's no apologizing. And you'll probably be doing some more, you know, for Jim's class. And I think I mentioned Cole. I mean, you did the Twilight Zone. Were you part of that team on the audios? Yeah. That's actually going to be the whole theme of the class for the May summer session. Yeah. So I think people are actually going to be charged with producing full video episodes, kind of rewriting them and putting some modern twist on them, some different angle, maybe putting them in a new context.
Yeah, I love the idea.
I think you'll be busy with that, Andy. I think you'll be wearing. I think you'll be smoking a cigarette or something.
Yeah, I'll be chewing tobacco. No, it should be a lot of fun, and I'm a big Twilight Zone fan myself, so I've got to dig out my Twilight Zone compendium book and start going through that and seeing which ones I want to redo. So maybe all the Shatner ones. I'll do all those. Yeah, there you go. I know he was on a couple. The one I remember is the one where he's on the plane and, you know, he sees the thing on the wing. Yeah, and I can't. There's another one, and I can't think of the name of it. I think this is one that Jim talks about, where he visits this town with his girlfriend or something like that, and there's nobody there, and that, you know, sometimes that can describe all the Twilight Zone episodes. Yeah, I was gonna say that's a couple of them. But yeah, there's one where he sits down and they're listening to the jukebox and they're just wondering where things are, and I think and that's another one of, I think, that ends up where, you know, it's some guy playing, you know, picking up the dolls and putting them here and all that jazz. So, but it should be a lot of fun. And Jim's crazy. He'll have his own spins that'll make it a lot of fun. So I don't look at it as a job. It's an adventure. Yeah. All right. So you feeling good about the rest of the semester, Cole?
I'm sorry, my thing's freaking out. What would you say?
Okay. You feeling good about the rest of the class and the way things mapped out?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You got a heavy load to get your last classes in?
Yeah. I've got to write my thesis, and I've got to finish that in a week. Ouch. Yeah. So, but other than that, it shouldn't be too hard.
Other than your thesis, you're fine.
I mean, it's on Tolkien's. It's pleasant to write about. It's not something boring like the Cold. So.
What the hell was that?
That's Fredericksburg traffic.
Was that a race car that just went by your apartment?
I think it was a motorcycle. Okay. I'm not really sure.
That was awesome. Like you're hitting sound effects buttons.
And Andy, any other like cool video things or cool things in general that you're kind of excited about these days?
We want to kind of get back to our culture of innovation kind of stuff. We want to flesh that out and talk a little bit more about what our division does and what our kind of ideas and you know, just kind of general overview of what we do and how we think. So we're hoping to get some of that. Right now, there's a couple of departments that are working with me to kind of do like promotional videos, and I'm also working a lot with the history department, especially with documentaries, and that's been of late my kind of passion as well, is to kind of you know, to tell some of these stories. And I think there's tons of these departments at Mary Washington that there's a bunch of really cool stories that are there. So. But I'm also on things like, you know, task forces and other councils here, so it's getting tougher to dedicate my time to some of that stuff. So just a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to make sense of how to allocate my time. Like almost like being a student again. So Cole, I can relate. I don't have a thesis due in the next week, but you know, I'll be happy when the semester ends.
Yeah.
So when does Ryan start?
I think in July sometime.
Oh, cool. He's gonna bring a lot of energy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully he can give us all a pick me up.
And you got a fleet of students now, right? Student aides.
Yeah, we've got. There's a few that work in our office, but they also kind of do double duty with the makerspace.
That's right.
And that's the thing that Tim's been working on. He's discovered recently that the 3D printers can be somewhat fragile. So he's dealing with some popped capacitors and other things that need repair. But you know, that still is going good. Oh, and I can show you. Here's my here's my example of my 3D stuff. Look at that handsome profile.
Man, the hair is perfect.
I know. It's been described as mashed potato-like, I think. But
that's
anyway.
not accurate enough, Andy.
Yeah, I understand. It's fluffy.
It's Fluffy. All right, Fluffy. Thank you for joining us, Andy. I really appreciate you putting the late night shift in. And Cole, thank you for popping in from the front porch. Mm-hmm. And good luck. I'll see you on the blogs.
All right.
Go get him, Cole.
Thanks.
All right.
Take it easy, man.
End of another.